DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as DreAllDay, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are moving on to part 2 of our 2-part series here, how to protect your physical health as you age, because every single one of us is getting older every single day. As a matter of fact, you are one day older today than you were yesterday when I did part 1 of this series. If you didn't catch that, make sure you catch it by just scrolling back to the previous episode in your feed, wherever you're consuming this. Picking up right where we left off, was at point number 4, move and be active. I just told you about mobility and flexibility. What I meant by that is just your body's ability to move. What I'm talking about here, when I say mobility and flexibility, is you literally moving. Literally actually go and physically do something. Do not be a couch potato or an office desk potato, which some of you are, especially you males. You become office desk potatoes. You are just sitting at your office desk and not moving around enough. But you got to be active, okay? Regardless of your age, you must keep moving. You start sitting around doing a whole lot of nothing, eventually your body's going to say, okay, we're not being used anymore. And by the time you finally decide to jump up and move, your body has forgotten how to do so. And the older you get, the harder it's going to be to get back into that shape. For example, me running up until about 2020. You all know my background. I played basketball. I stopped playing basketball in 2015. I started running as my normal exercise, especially for cardiovascular, was just the running. And I did a couple marathons. I run some 10K races, etc. Still will run 10Ks a couple times. I probably stopped running them after this year. I probably stopped running 10K races because I just don't need to do it anymore. But it was probably 2021, maybe 2022 was the last year where I took an extended break, because every year what I would do is take a little bit of a break, maybe a month or so off from running, just so my legs could recover and not be all beat up. It's kind of like an athlete. You don't play the whole year round. Eventually you got to have an off season to let your body recover so that you can build back up and get better, etc. And after that last break that I took in 2022, I took maybe 6 weeks off and started running again. I had known up to that point that anytime I took that break period, it usually took me about 3 to 4 weeks to get back into game shape, i.e. running at the same pace I was running at before I took the break. But in 2022, when I did it, it took longer to get back in shape. It took like 6 weeks to get back in shape. And I decided right then, okay, I'm not taking this break anymore. And the reason, my theory as to why it took so long to get back in shape, is simply because I was older then than I had been years before, where it was easier to bounce back. When I allowed myself to get out of shape on purpose, out of my type of shape on purpose, and then get back into it, I could do it in 4 weeks. But now it's taking me 6 weeks. So yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just staying in shape all year round. Maybe I won't go as hard. Maybe I won't run as many miles, but I am going to stay in shape all year round. I don't want to do this period where I'm not really keeping myself where I need to be. So all of you need to actively move your body every day, or otherwise, again, you will lose your ability to move your body via the process of atrophy. And atrophy happens at a faster rate the older you get. Again, this does not mean you need to take up a sport or become some type of competitive athlete. You can simply take a 2 or 3 mile walk around your neighborhood every day, or go to the gym and walk on a treadmill for an hour just to keep your body moving. But you must move. You see older people doing this all the time, no matter where you live. I remember working at the mall. There are many jobs I had working at the mall. And if you're there early in the morning, like you open the store, I was a manager at Foot Locker. I would open the store. And on a weekday, Monday through Friday, there ain't much happening in the mall. The only people you see walking around are some old people in sweatsuits, and they go to the gym to get their walk-in. They just walk around the mall. That's what they do. That's their way of moving their bodies. And this is especially true in the northeastern part of the country, where you have winter time. It's too cold to walk outside. They go to the mall and they walk. That's how they get their exercise in. Whereas down here in South Florida, people can just go outside. So there are some things that people do that you should copy, and some things that you should not. So the one that I just said is one you should. You should actually move your body every day, even if all you do is take a walk in the mall. All right, if that's all you do, do it. Because when you stop moving your body, things in your body will simply stop working. About a month ago, from when I'm recording this, I contracted some type of head cold from my 2-year-old child. whatever it was, who knows? Maybe it was COVID, who knows? Whatever it was, I was in bed for nearly 48 straight hours. And when I finally got out of bed and I tried to get back to exercising, that first day when I got out of bed, I felt like my body felt as if I had never exercised or had not moved my body at all for 10 years. That's what it felt. It felt like I hadn't moved at all. I could barely do my yoga routine. I told you my yoga routine is 10 minutes. I missed literally one day. What happened was it was Wednesday morning. I woke up, worked out as usual, but then I felt the head issue coming on. So I got in bed around 10 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday. Was in bed all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and finally got out of bed around 10 o'clock on Friday. So it was 48 hours. So when I went to do my yoga routine Friday, later than usual, 10 o'clock in the morning, it took me almost 30 minutes to do the yoga routine because I could not move my body. My back was not bending. When I leaned back, my back wasn't really bending. It was hard for me to go from standing up to down in like a plank position. It was hard for me to do anything because my body just wasn't cooperating with the thing. Mentally, I knew what to do, but physically, I simply couldn't do it. And I missed literally one day. I could not complete my outdoor run. A couple days later, I was running outside. And I was planning to run, my usual run on that day was 7 miles. I said, okay, maybe I can't do 7 miles. Maybe I'll just do 4 miles. So I planned on running 4 miles. I had the route mapped out. I ran 2 miles and I took a couple pauses just running the first 2 miles. Then when I got to 2 miles and started to run the 2 miles that was going to go back, I knew I could not run it. I said, I got to walk. I ended up walking the final 2 miles back because my body just simply couldn't do it. My head was not in the space to do it. Mentally, not even mentally like feeling like it, not motivation. I don't mean like that. But mentally, my head was kind of in a fog. And when your mind's physically in a fog, it's hard to get your body moving. Neither my body nor my brain were cooperating with this. And again, I missed just one day. And I felt completely out of sorts just by being in bed I was in bed for 2 days, but I only missed one day of that actual workout. Some of you, what I just described, have been in this physical state for 10 years. That's an issue. And I just told you in the previous point, there is a silver lining to this in that your body is forgiving once you start doing the damn work, but you must get back to doing the work. The good thing for me is it only took me, that was Friday when I tried to get back into my things. It was Saturday when that run didn't go too well. But by the time I got back to the following week, Monday, Tuesday, I got back to normal within about 3 or 4 days. Now, the reason why I was able to get back to normal from where I was in 3 or 4 days is because my baseline was being in shape and exercising all the time. Now, had I been a person who didn't exercise at all and that happened, it probably would have taken a lot longer, or we would never even know because I wouldn't have tried to work out again. Because why would I? Because I don't work out. So all of these things matter and they all add up. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is how to protect your physical health as you age. Number 5, get quality rest. Rest does matter. I know that some of you were on team no sleep, and you may hear some motivational speaker tell you that this person is really successful and they only sleep 4 hours a night. Listen, I've tried a whole lot of things when it comes to shortcutting rest. I've tried many. One of my favorite authors is Tim Ferriss. He wrote a book called The 4-Hour Body. He wrote several books, but that's one of them. In The 4-Hour Body, what Tim basically does is make himself a human guinea pig. So he tests these things out, he finds what works, and then he reports it back to his audience. So he was trying to see if he could cut out sleep, because there's a lot of people listening to this, especially you males, especially you hard driving, ambitious males. If you could, instead of sleeping 8 hours a night, biologically as a demand from the universe, you could sleep 2 hours a night and still be as equally refreshed. That's 6 extra hours of work that you could do to do productive things and move your life and your career forward. Would you take that trade if you could do it? Of course you would. I would take that trade if I could do it. If I could just sleep 2 hours a night and have the same energy, I absolutely sign me up right now. I would pay to be able to do that. Tim Ferriss tried it. And what he tried was this experiment where you would sleep, I believe the sleep was 15 minutes. It was overall 2 hours over the course of a day. But every few hours, and he had it all scheduled out and timed out. He had this whole thing planned out. And you would take this 15 to 30 minute nap every 2 hours or something like that. And he did it to a T. Like, he had the schedule, the timers, all that stuff. And he would take these 15 to 30 minute naps every 2 hours or so. And he said he kept this going. He tried to keep the experiment up for about 48 hours. And after 48 hours, he was getting such violent hallucinations that he had to end the experiment and actually sleep, like seriously sleep. Because the thing is, the body does certain repairs on your, sleeping does certain repairs on your mind and body that can only happen during sleep, and it only happens during certain stages of sleep. And the problem that Tim ran into was that sleeping only 15 to 30 minutes and then being woken up by an alarm, his body never got into that stage to do the repair. And that's why his brain started giving him some feedback with these violent hallucinations. I've had this happen before where I was getting these crazy hallucinations because I had been up for too long and hadn't gotten enough sleep. For example, being on a red-eye flight and didn't sleep on the plane, and then getting straight off the plane and going straight to doing work. And I started getting hallucinations, or I'd be talking to somebody and I would say something like ridiculous in the middle of the conversation. They'd be like, "What?" And I'd be like, I gotta get some sleep. What the hell am I doing? You must get rest, folks. And some of you may be these biological anomalies where you can sleep 4 hours a night or 5 hours a night forever and you're perfectly fine. There are always these legends about these great entertainers or athletes. They only slept 3 hours a night, or Kobe Bryant only slept 4 hours and that's all he needed. Well, fine. Good for Kobe. I've tried 4 hours. It doesn't work for me. All right, for most of you, it has been proven that when a person only gets 4 to 5 hours of sleep, their brain functions as if you are legally intoxicated. Now, your brain is at the same level as if you were intoxicated when you only get 4 hours of sleep. You probably can't get away with this. Science has shown us that most humans need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep every single night. So this quality rest is not something you can short, and it's not something you can shortcut. There's no way around it. This is biologically demanded by the universe. So scientists who are smarter than me agree that getting this rest helps your body repair, helps your brain repair, and it will make you easier to be around when you're awake. And it keeps your body in better shape as you get older. So you get all of these benefits. And notice something. Notice that you rarely hear about a 65-year-old person pulling an all-nighter to finish a business project. You know why? Because they don't do it. All right. You hear about college students pulling all-nighters, and then they're in class the next day as if nothing happened. You don't hear about your grandma pulling an all-nighter. All right. And then the next day talking to you as if nothing happened, because they don't do it. At that age, you cannot bounce back as easily from reckless health decisions. Get proper rest, get enough sleep, and respect the fact that your body is not the same body when you're 50 that it was when you were 20. You must respect biology. You must respect the progression of time. Doesn't mean that you need to hang it up and retire to a rocking chair, but it does mean you need to respect what's going on here. You can't do the same things now that you did then. It's just the reality of the situation. Point number 6. Today's topic, once again, is how to protect your physical health as you age. And let me see, do I have 6 points here or 7? I believe I just have 6, but we'll see. Number 6, listen to your body. This means understanding when you need to adjust and do different things than what you used to do. You have to listen to your body. As a former professional basketball player, I understood that as soon as I stopped playing basketball every day, my body would not be able to do the explosive and agile movements that basketball require. And if I didn't keep doing them on a consistent basis, I knew I would lose the ability to do those things. I'm also smart enough. I see a lot of men not smart enough to do this. I'm smart enough to know that when I walked away from basketball, I would not be playing any more basketball. I don't play any basketball. I often have people who will see me. I'll be out and about at the mall or something like that. Somebody will recognize me from my YouTube basketball days. And they'll always inevitably ask me the question, do you still play? And the answer is no. So anybody thinking about asking me that, no, I do not play basketball. I stopped playing in 2015. I have not played a single game of basketball since. Actually, there's one exception. In 2019, I believe it was 2019, I was at the park and my wife was with me and we were just messing around. And there were 2 guys playing one-on-one on the opposite court from us. And I'm looking at them and I can see they weren't like super serious players, but they were playing one-on-one. And I said to them, hey, I got winners. Whoever wins that game, they had to play against me. And I just decided I'm going to do that. And I played against this guy, this fat guy who couldn't really play basketball. The video is on YouTube. I think it's called Dre Baldwin Comeback. So if you want to see a funny video of what happened when I played against that guy one-on-one, you go look it up on YouTube and you can watch it. And it was funny. And that was the only game, if you even want to call that a game, that I played since 2015. Other than that, I've not played a single game of basketball, no running up and down the court, no drills that basketball players do, none of that shit. Because I understood that the reason why I did that, first of all, because there are players who stop playing and they keep playing, right? They'll just play for fun. I'm not that guy. I understood that if I played basketball at all, I wasn't going to be the guy who is old looking like, oh, he used to be good, but he's not good anymore. I didn't want to be that. I remember as a player during my years when I was actually playing, seeing older guys who were, let's say when I was in my 20s playing, guys who were in their 30s, who were clearly past their primes. Maybe they had dealt with some injuries and they physically weren't in the shape that they probably had been in during their heyday, but they were still out there trying to play and they were looking old because they were stiff. They couldn't really move. They didn't have the agility. They didn't have the explosiveness. They didn't have the speed, yet they were still trying to play. And I always remember seeing guys like that because there'd be a lot of them. And I remember saying to myself, I'm never going to be that guy on the basketball court. And I never became that guy. I walked away from basketball. I was still in very close to my peak form when I stopped playing basketball. I was never some old guy having some 19-year-old who just got off of work at fucking Taco Bell blowing by me and dunking on me. That never happened. But I saw it happen to a lot of older guys who kept playing longer than they should have been playing. Because they didn't have anything else to do. I had other shit to do, which is why I was able to walk away from basketball. And it wasn't a struggle for me to walk away from basketball. I knew it was time for me to walk away. And the thing that I was setting this all up to say was this. I've known some men over the age of 35 who stopped playing basketball like at a serious competitive level, but they would still go play as they got older. And I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of torn ACLs, torn Achilles tendons from shoulder injuries, all kinds of injuries happening to older men who kept trying to play a young man's sport when they were no longer young men. And these are men who weren't in the shape that I was in. So you work a sedentary job 9 to 5, but then you go try to pick up basketball with some 25-year-olds and you're 40. Yeah, you're going to tear your ACL. Yes, you're going to get a torn Achilles. Yes, that's what happens. All right, that's how it goes. Next time you're at a gym and you see a bunch of old men playing basketball, I want you to look below their waistlines and look at their knees and notice how many knee braces you see. Notice how many ankle braces you see, because these old men want to keep playing basketball, and it's fine. I'm not knocking you old man for playing basketball. I'm saying injuries happen when you get older and you keep trying to play a sport that is designed for youth. Basketball is a youth sport because it involves a lot of stopping and starting, which is agility, your ability to change directions without losing speed. Now, the older you get, the less you want to try to do that. Okay, that's where you get torn ligaments, trying to do speed, explosive stuff. That's why I like running. Running is a steady state. There's no explosion necessary for running. You just move at the exact same pace, going in a straight line the entire time. That I can do. But stopping and starting, trying to cross some young kid over, trying to dunk on somebody, trying to jump really high to grab a rebound, that's exactly where the injuries come in. I didn't want to deal with that, and I wasn't trying to play competitively anymore anyway. That's why I was able to walk away. But I see a lot of people not listening to their body, trying to defy time, but you're not putting the work in that qualifies you to defy time, and that's how you get injured. Again, a lot of men I see getting injured are men who didn't have nearly the kind of practice schedule and training schedule that I had, but they're still trying to perform. But you're not doing the practice, you're not going to perform. That's just the law of the universe, folks. And I understood as soon as I stopped playing, my body couldn't do the same stuff that I was doing before. So I'm smart enough to this day. So any of you ever think about asking me, let me say it again. I will not get on the basketball court on a whim and play against somebody. And it's been 10 years since I've done any of those moves consistently. It's not happening. I'm not playing anybody in basketball. Even when my son gets older and he gets good at basketball, I'm not going to be on the court playing him in a serious game. I'll stand in front of him and challenge his shot so he can practice. But I'm not going to be running around like actually trying to beat him in a game, especially when he gets good enough to be a serious competitor. Now, if he happens to be a basketball guy, I'm not going to be on the court trying to demonstrate explosive movements to him. I will show him as a kind of a walkthrough how to do the move. But for me to actually do it and then say you do the exact same thing, no, that's not happening. I will have to hire him a trainer. Well, I'll pay for it. So again, I'll do the walkthroughs, but that's it. I'll find other kids for him to play with. I'll hire him a trainer. I'll introduce him to my YouTube channel and he can do it on his own. And I can tell him, hey, you did that right. Here's how you do your footwork. Let's fix your technique over here. But that's it. But I'm not going to be on the court playing serious games of basketball with anybody, even my own kids. All right? I'm not tearing the ACL. I'm not tearing my Achilles, trying to prove anything to anyone. Again, even my own children, let alone to any of you who are listening to this. So the point being here, respect your limitations. Understand your limitations. Some of your limitations have always existed. Some of you know you shouldn't be trying to dunk a basketball because you couldn't dunk even when you were in your prime, so you shouldn't be trying to dunk now. Some of you used to be able to dunk, and you shouldn't be trying to dunk anymore. All right, just be happy with the memories, okay? I used to be able to dunk a basketball. I have not tried to dunk a basketball in a long time, and I doubt that I know my explosive muscles are not there because I had not trained them in a long time. Therefore, I'm not going to try. So I often get people asking me that. That's the other question I get asked. Number one, do you still play? Number two, can you still dunk? And answers are no and probably not. And no, I'm not going to try to prove it to you or to myself. So you got to know what you can do and know what you can't do. And again, some of you have had limitations creep in on you as you aged. Some of you have always had limitations, and somehow, some way, you got 10 years older and now you're going to try to defy them. I would suggest you don't do that. But you do what you want. But if you want my suggestion, I suggest you not do that. So know what you can do, know what you can't do, and know what risk you're taking when you try to defy what is in front of you, i.e. The number of candles on your cake and knowing your background physically. So there's some people who have made entire businesses around going further than most people go as they age. Now, if you want to do that, there's nothing wrong with that. There are people 50, 60 years old who are in great shape and in better shape when they're 60 than they were when they were 25. If you want to follow that path, I suggest you go find the people who are doing it and do whatever it is that they say, because I guarantee you don't just stumble into that. All right, there's some work that goes into that, so make sure you follow their process. Otherwise, if you ain't trying to do all that, okay, listen to your body and respect the limitations that your body is communicating to you, because it's telling you loud and clear what it can do, what it can't do. And it's when you don't listen that bad things happen. All that said, folks, let's recap part 2 of our ongoing mini series here, which is how to protect your physical health as you age. Number 4, move and be active. You have to move your body around. Do not become a couch potato or an office desk potato. Only sitting sedentary and not moving your body will betray you the longer you keep doing that. Number 5, get quality rest. This is demanded by biology. Yes, you've heard of the random stories of people who only sleep 2 hours or 4 hours a night. Most people need between 7 and 9 hours of rest every night. You probably know if you can get by on 4 hours on a regular basis. Go ahead and try it and see how you feel after about 2 days. You'll know whether the answer is a clear yes or a clear no. Number 6, listen to your body. Know what your body can do, know what it can't do. Do not try to force yourself to do things you aren't supposed to be trying to do unless you are okay with the risks that come with making a mistake here. And again, I'm talking to you men who like to get out there and compete in sports. It's fine. I like to compete in sports too, but I pick and choose my sports for a specific reason, because I don't want to deal with those injuries, because those injuries will limit me doing other things that are my focus these days, which is much more on professional development and business than it is on proving anything on a basketball court, track, field, boxing ring, or anywhere else. All that said, folks, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you get to work with me directly, and we can start talking about what's going to work for your business, for your career, for your growth as a person and as a professional. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Learn more about working with me directly. Work on your game. Dre, all